All right. How are you doing, everybody? We are live on Facebook. And tonight, I have a special treat for the world. Tonight, I have a very special treat for the world. Now, I don't know about how y'all feel about treats. I love a good surprise. And of course, I love a good treat.
On Facebook.
I love it. And tonight, I have a sister warrior with me. I have a woman who is phenomenal, who I've been able to watch her journey unfold. And we don't just do mediocre around here. We want you to go beyond mediocrity. We want you to be able to elevate and lift yourself up. And because we want that for you, we want to make sure that we bring the best and the brightest before you. And that could be in any form. But tonight, for the speaker series here on our fall symposium speaker series, we are bringing before you a wonderful, wonderful sister of mine. I call her my spicy Latina sister. I love her. And she is going to talk to us tonight about her journey. She's going to talk to us tonight about where she is, some lessons learned. And we're just going to have a little girl chat. We're just going to kiki for a minute, have some good conversation. And really, I believe every conversation is crucial. And I also believe that not only is it crucial, but it's important that we elevate voices, galvanize and elevate voices. And tonight, her voice will be galvanized and elevated. And I don't want to take up too much more time because what we have to talk about, I know is going to be good, and that there's going to be a lot of takeaways from this conversation tonight. So, Elis Salamone, sister, how are you? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. It's status quo. Since March and COVID, I think all I do is work out, cook, because you guys see my keto cooking, and that's about it.
That's about it. And I have to say, so talk to us, introduce yourself. While you're doing that, I'm going to start my own watch party. And for those of you who are watching from our page, if you want to get another device and start your watch party, or just invite your friends to watch. Melissa, hey! Melissa, yes, we got to get you two connected. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'm going to start my watch party while you're doing that.
Okay. All right. So hi, everyone. My name's Elis Salamone. You'll see me on Facebook as Elis Mabes, and that's a nickname that my dear significant other gave me. And I am a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, prior Army enlisted. I retired in 2014 from the Air Force after 27 years of combined federal service. And I also was a nurse practitioner. Well, I am a nurse practitioner, women's health nurse practitioner. And I worked at a local military hospital for the first 3 years out of my retirement. And then I resigned and I took a job with a wound care company startup. And then I got laid off from that after 6 months. And then after that, it took me 6 months to find a job. And that's how I connected with Shellie and Lean In. And I just did a bunch of community work and networking during that time. And then I finally found a job and was working for a clinic as a practice manager and also as a nurse practitioner. And I really enjoy seeing patients there. But then after 15 months, I was unceremoniously terminated. So my mom is appalled that I tell that story, but I tell that story because I think there's a lot of shame around the topic of being terminated. And with the work I'm doing now as a career ownership coach, it's amazing how common my story is with so many Americans. So here's one takeaway. If you've been terminated from a job, there's no shame in it. It happens to the best of us. And it doesn't matter how hard you work or how educated you are or what contributions you had to the company. Corporate America is a little bit of a mess. And the loyalty is not there to the employees. It's all about the bottom line. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. But anyways, after my termination, I decided to work for my own. And I invested in a franchise called the Entrepreneur Source. So what I do now is I coach individuals that are looking for a different chapter, that have been affected by COVID, veterans that are transitioning. And what I do is I help them figure out, get to a point of clarity as to, is entrepreneurship through franchising the right way for them? And it's not a sales pitch. It's all truly through coaching. And some of the questions I ask are like, what did you want to do when you were a kid? You know, what was your childhood dream? You know, tell me, what do you do after a tough day at work? Tell me about your family. So I really get to know the client. And once I get to know the client and they feel they're ready, I will go through our catalog, because I work with 170 different brands in 80 different industries, and find business opportunities for them that align with whatever goal, needs, expectations they have. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. And the best part is that my services are free, because the business partners I work with actually pay for my services. So there's a lot of value added to this journey. A lot of clients have points of clarity, which is what we want to get to, but also really get to really learn about themselves and think about what it is that they really want to do in their next chapter. So anyways, that's what I do.
I mean, don't just dismiss that's what I do. You do a lot. Okay?
I do a lot.
You do a lot, but you do a lot of purposeful work. So first of all, let's just be very, very clear. This isn't a sales pitch or anything. This is important that you understand this. This is about meeting another woman who has served and is on her own journey, and sharing her stories and lessons learned, because I want to be clear, you can't get anywhere by yourself. You need a support system, you need a tribe, you need a community, you need accountability partners. But let's just back up. So I want to just touch on, you know, you said 6 months twice, right?
Yes.
6 months twice. So let's hit that first 6 months that you talked about.
So actually, I resigned from my first post-military retirement job in 2017, and I had a job lined up, but I took 6 weeks purposely, because after I retired from the Air Force, I really didn't take enough time off, and that's another whole topic that we can always talk about. But you know, so I had a job. I worked at that job for 6 months. It was a job that I thought was really going to be a good fit. I was making more money, and I was hired to do leadership and education, which I love. But when I got in that job, that was not really what it turned out to be. And after 6 months, they laid me off. And I was just like, what just happened? I've been working my butt off for this company. And you know, and during that time, there were other people in the leadership team that got laid off too. So it wasn't just me, but I was like, what just happened? I just spent 27 years in the military and always got awarded with, you know, for superb leadership and workman and being a good worker and team player. And all of a sudden, now I'm in my second job post-military retirement, and I just got laid off. Like, what just happened? I will tell you all, though, that I did lay in bed earlier that week and I prayed for clarity from God, because I was pretty miserable in that job for numerous different reasons. And, you know, God just kind of slaps you sometimes with the reality check. I got laid off. So then after that job, though, it took me another 6 months to find a job. And I was hustling. I was applying for jobs. I was networking. I was doing all the things that they tell you to do. And unfortunately, here in the local area, there aren't a lot of women's health nurse practitioner jobs. And what ended up happening is I applied for a bunch of positions in local hospitals and clinics in like around May. And I had gotten laid off in April. And some of these places didn't get back to me till like August or September.
So where did we meet? Did we meet when you came to the symposium?
Yes,
Before we met?
I don't even know
where.
Yeah, I came to the symposium in May of 2018. I don't even know where I saw the advertisement, but I am like such a busybody. Like during that time, I think I was busier during that time that I wasn't actually working than I was when I actually worked, because I was getting myself involved in everything. I was taking classes on JBLM at the Transition Center. I was doing Sigma 6. Then I applied. I went to your foundation, that was great. for 2 days. And then I got involved with Lean In, and I was doing I started doing public speaking. It just kind of was just really doing everything and anything that I could to figure out my path, but also figure out what the heck I wanted to do when I grow up. Because, you spend all that time in the military and you have someone telling you what to do on a daily basis. And I actually kind of like that, because otherwise I am a wanderer. I am restless. I am constantly doing everything and putting my hands in stuff, because I'm still trying to figure out what it is what my superpower is. And I'm listening to a book right now that I really want to recommend. Let me see what the name of it is. The Big Leap.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
It's a fantastic book. And it's funny, I'm at the point which is funny, because I ask these questions of clients: what is your superpower? Well, I'm still really kind of trying to figure out what my superpower is. And maybe my friends and family can tell me what my superpower is, because I'm still trying to figure out what it is and garner that in my day-to-day life. But I thought it was funny because I asked that question to my clients all the time. What is your superpower? So I thought that was kind of cool that it was in that book, because I was like, oh, so maybe I'm onto something here. So yeah.
That was my journey. You have some shout outs from Olivia Gazelle.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I want to make sure I say her name right. Of course, everyone that's on here is saying hello. Laura said that they weren't ready for you, the ones who let you go the first time. Yes, when I was pregnant, yes, and Eve's reflecting on how we were at the symposium. And so the symposium created a moment of, like, you felt like you were getting reintroduced to all the babies, mamas that you delivered babies
yes,
for.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's true.
Being a nurse practitioner, it was like a reunion. You delivered my baby. But what I want to tap into is I want to talk to you about really acknowledging something that you said. One, you didn't feel like you took enough time off when you left the Air Force. You just kind of leaped right into the next thing. And I always talk about that as a lesson that I learned too. When I retired from the Army, I was so glad somebody wanted to hire me. Yes. I took the first opportunity. I never went to the beach. I never took time off. And then after about a year, that's all I started telling transitioning service members: go to your beach, take time off. Yeah. But the problem is everyone doesn't get the opportunity to plan for their separation from service. Yes. Everyone doesn't get to retire from service. No. They don't get to determine how they separate from service. Yeah. So therefore, that's easy to say, hard to do, right? Yeah. So at the same time, when you're thinking about everything, you're thinking about things not, things just don't kind of fall into place all the time. But if you have the ability to have the resources to take the time to go to your beach, to take time off, that helps in your self-discovery, because you're going to hit some invisible walls. And we always, you hear me talk about it. We talked about it multiple times, things that we just don't see coming. And I call it that 90 days to impact wall, that wall where all those emotions start bubbling up. You're crying and you don't know why. You're stressed out. You don't know what's going on. And you also hit on a point about how you liked someone giving you direction. And I have to emphasize, the military does a good job at programming us, but it's also enabling, because no one outside of that institutionalized structure is going to be holding your hand all of the time. Yeah. So how do you learn? It's almost like you have to relearn and earn your sense of independence.
Yeah. So let me clarify that, because I don't think I said it well. I think what it was about the military is you were always striving for the next thing, and you had a clear path. You knew what the expectations were to make that next promotion, to get to the next assignment. And in the civilian sector, there is no clarity whatsoever. You could be working your butt off, doing all the right things, and then you get terminated. And it's like,
I'm sitting there like, what the heck just happened?
What just happened? And and what I was told when I got terminated was, this isn't working out. And I know we're on live, but I really was like, WTF, like, what's not working out? Because I've been working my butt off. I've created some great programs here. I have great relationships with all the other department heads. The problem was, and those other women veterans that are out there, we have a problem as women veterans, because we are true leaders, we have that leadership experience, and people
Yes.
get intimidated by that. And my supervisor, even though she was a retired Army major, she was extremely intimidated by me. And
you were all in a conversation I just had. I'm not gonna say anything, but
and then the thing
female to female intimidation.
Yeah. And the thing that was crazy was I was just going to work and doing my job, and I was doing a good job, but I wasn't even working to the full capacity that I could, because I knew she was intimidated by me. And I was like, listen, I just spent 27 years in the military. I'm okay with just having a paycheck and impacting this disenfranchised community I'm working with. I don't need to be a supervisor. I don't need to be, well, not a supervisor, because I was a supervisor, but I don't need to be the CEO of the clinic. I don't aspire to that. To me, I was just happy to making a paycheck and getting a good paycheck and doing the impact that I was. But what happened was that after that happened, 6 to 8 weeks later, then she got demoted, because here as leaders, this is what we do. When you are the smartest person in the room, you need to leave that room. And what she did wrong as a leader is instead of keeping me on her back pocket and capitalizing on all the hard work I was doing and all the programs I was doing, then she should have capitalized that. And she could have taken credit for it. I wouldn't have cared, because I knew what I was doing. But what happened was, when I left, every single time a problem came up, they were like, well, who's going to take care of this? And they're like, oh, Elis is not there anymore. So who was doing this training program? Well, Elis was in charge of that. What are we doing on Wednesdays now when we have admin time? Well, we used to have training programs, but Elis is not here anymore. So then I think what happened, that came to bite her in the butt.
Yeah.
But hey, karma's a bitch, and it is what it is. But it's just, I think sometimes we don't dim your sparkle for somebody else. And I did that when I was there, because I did not. Yeah, I did that because I knew that people found me intimidating, even though I gave them no reason to, except that I was just being myself.
You're just trying to do what you were, your purpose-driven mission, whatever that was. So let me give you some commentary here. This chat is on fire. Thank you, Olivia, for giving me grace about your name. I'm just backtracking a little bit because we were having such a good conversation. Felicia Hacker, hey, Felicia. When you were talking about your flaws, she said your superpower. She said that she thought the thing that she thought were flaws turned out to be her superpowers. And that. There is no blueprint. Lisa, Christine there, preach, and so you're all over it. You're tap dancing and hitting everything that you're saying. And when you talk about that, not dimming your light, earlier I was having a conversation and we were talking about that. Why is it that when you talk about women mentorship and like you have a boss that's a woman, and I've had a similar experience a while back, but when it's a woman who's here mentoring you, who's here, worried more about you coming and taking her place instead of grooming you and mentoring you to elevate and move up. And we know, like you said, in the military, there is a natural progression, there is a natural order, and that those things are going to happen regardless of what we do. We have to do the work, of course, but we know that promotion is coming. But in the civilian sector, now you've got to deal with this other level of competitive nature that really is more about keeping you here so you don't outshine. And then what happens is, and it's not that that's what you're doing. What you're doing is you're doing your job, and you're doing it to a level of excellence. Let's just say that right now, excellence, right?
Yeah.
And I do remember this journey with you, and it really blows my mind to think that not once did this individual think that when they let you go, that they would that how much impact you made, because they're too busy being intimidated or jealous. For what? Like, you achieved great things in your lifetime. I've achieved great things. Why can't we do this thing together? Why can't we partner?
I just think it's so sad because too, I was there not just as a manager, but as a nurse practitioner. I was providing a service to a disenfranchised community, not only the community, but of women that did not have a dedicated women's health care provider. And I was making huge impact on that. Yeah. And then when I left, no one stepped up to the plate. So now you took away a critical service to women, to a community that really needed that. And that's where I got my joy. I mean, if she said, hey, Elis, we're going to keep you as a nurse practitioner, but we're going to take the management role away, I would have been like, deuces, man. Amen. Thank you. Because dealing with people calling at 5 o'clock in the morning, telling me they're not coming into work, after a while, I was burned out. I was like, listen, this isn't like the military where if somebody doesn't show up, you just take care of it. In civilian sector, man, getting people to work, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And it's like, just come to work. It's not that difficult. But after a while, I realized that too, that for me, I left the military shortly after I made lieutenant colonel because I didn't want to be a commander. I had zero interest in, and it wasn't, let me preface this out. It wasn't that I couldn't do the job. I would have done a great job.
Right.
I just didn't have no interest in it. I had no interest in being a commander and babysitting 200.
We have so much in common. I always told people I never said I wanted to be a sergeant major. I always said I wanted to be a master sergeant. I never said that was my long-term goal. All of my buddies, battle buddies, would go to boards, and no, I always said my long-term goal was to be like you, be a sergeant major. I said I never would have told that lie. I knew exactly where I wanted to get to and what I wanted to do. And it doesn't mean that I could not. Right. But it just means that just wasn't your heart's desire. And I not only respect that decision that you made, I applaud it because everyone isn't that brave. A lot of people will just go with the status quo, at least, and they will just go along to get along. And they will never stretch or challenge themselves outside of the norms that everyone says we should have, right? And where they say we should be. And so I just applaud you. One, it's almost like your journey over time has been almost like that push. Have you ever felt like it's been almost like the nudge, like being let go, a nudge, you know?
Every day. And every day I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my life? You know, what am I doing every day? And those of you that are out there that know me well, every day, everybody's like, you're so inspiring and intimidating. And I'm like, oh, please, I'm a mess, just like everybody else.
Okay.
You know, I think, yeah.
This is the green screen. You don't want to see what's going on behind here. I would say that a lot. You know, I would like, don't be impressed by this. It's a mess back here, you know, and that's the truth.
Yeah. Well, you know, everybody has like that perception of, you know, the social media life, but you know, the reality is that just like anybody else, I leaped into this entrepreneurship opportunity, and more days than not, I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? And this is way harder than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and then I have people that are close to me that mean well, but they make the dumbest comments to me that really just make me second guess myself, you know, like, what am I doing? And
let's talk about that. What does that do? When you talk about they make you second guess yourself. Let's talk about that. What does that mean?
Oh man, that's just, you know, it's one of those things where I don't think that, you know, the people that love you, that are close to you, they want the best for you, but I don't think they even realize your level of genius yet for whatever reason. Okay. And I think that they question, you know, first of all, I think this is just human nature, because especially here in America, I think people think that working that Monday to Friday job, working for corporate, is really the only way to make a living here in the United States. Well, it's not. It really isn't. I have this conversation with people all day, but we as Americans are so what's the word I'm looking for? Are so embedded in, we have to go to work, we work for somebody else, we get a paycheck every 2 weeks, and that's really the only way to live your life. Where, you know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, nobody talks about how freaking hard it is, and how, you know, you see your checking account going, you know, low and low and low, and you're like, what am I doing? And then all the times that you talk to potential clients and things don't move forward, and you're like, what did I do wrong? So you're constantly, you really have to do a gut check and be like, okay, God put me on this path for a reason. And I really have to say that to myself at least 3 or 4 times a day. God put me on a path for a reason.
Yeah.
And this is the path that I'm on. And I need to just make this work. And, you know, it's just hard. It's just hard. And people don't talk about that. But hey, let me tell you something. On that same token, when it's wet and raining outside or freezing cold, and I don't have to get dressed or go anywhere, and I could just have my cup of coffee and come down to my office, in my home office, and work, I'm happy. I'm happy and I'm not dealing with anybody else's BS.
Mm-hmm.
I can shine as high as I want in my office and no one's going to take my sparkle away.
Yeah. And you don't have to worry about that. The only competition you have is yourself.
Absolutely.
We have several women veterans watching tonight, several folks watching. They're on an entrepreneurial journey, or they've had an experience where, let's just say, they didn't get the job opportunity, or or they did walk away or was let go from something, and and they're trying to really prove not only to themselves but to those around them, because I just want to preface this as saying sometimes it's the people closest to you.
Yes.
Sometimes it's the people closest to you that make it so challenging for you to feel like you're going in the right direction.
Oh, girl, you're going to make me cry, because that was me last night, because somebody I love said something to me last night and I was so upset. It literally kept me up. And right now I'm not even like, I haven't really been talking to this person throughout the day today. Well, that person knows that I'm upset, but they don't know why. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to mention any names, but I was just kind of like, really? I can't believe you just said that to me. Mm-hmm. And I think that people that care about us, they don't realize how sometimes the words that they say to us, they're not meant to be cruel, but hell, I don't need anyone else second guessing me, because I'm already doing that to myself. Mm-hmm. I need you to keep your mouth shut, unless you think I'm doing something that's really detrimental to my health, just keep your mouth shut, because you know what? This is a hard journey. And I don't see you doing the work, despite the fact that you're complaining about your situation 100% of the time, but I don't see you taking a risk on yourself or investing on yourself or doing what I'm doing. So is it because you're jealous that I took the leap and I'm making it work? Or is it because you're reflecting on, this is taking away time away from you, from us, whatever. I don't know what the situation is, but people that are close to you, they need to just support you. And if you have nothing nice to say, just keep it to yourself, because you know what? We have enough thoughts in our head that are not supportive and not positive when we're having a bad day. And it takes a lot of energy to get that out of your head and stay in a grateful, positive God, in that God space that God has you on this journey. And I hear someone say, what's your option B? My option B is to keep working hard so that I can make my option A work. That's my that's my option B. Yes. I know that God put me on this earth to do something great. I don't know what that is yet, and I don't know if this is it, but I know that I was put on this journey for a reason. So
these comments are so hot right now. I know I think you see them too. Melissa is chiming in agreement. Like sometimes they dismiss your feelings. Laura was saying sometimes we just need to know we are supported. And I think that, getting back to, who we are, getting back to the core of who you are, really identifying with, what it is that you want to do. And so you are you're fearless, just doing and taking the leap and doing the thing that you need to do. And sometimes, just to your point, it is about the fact that you were bold and brave and you did something that they could never imagine themselves doing, taking a leap like you took. And then they're watching you and they only want to resonate with the struggling moments. And so then you have to ask yourself, do I need to be sharing my low moments with this person? Or should I just not, it makes you kind of I need to redefine this relationship. I need to make sure that when you see me, it's not that you see me all good, but I'm just not going to be bringing you all of my low moments, because you're not going to be tap dancing all over me. Felicia just said, this is your superpower, sharing your journey to help others know they are not alone in this. This is your superpower. Thank you, Felicia. Y'all are going to be meet Felicia Hacker soon.
I love Felicia.
So, in knowing all of this that's going on, so now you're in this place you built. So let's talk about, before we get to the entrepreneur source. I want to walk down this journey because I've met a lot of women, and of course, just finishing up competing for Miss Veteran America, I met a lot of women, not just on the competition journey, but just in this journey of addressing the needs of women veterans and in our military community. about finding community.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? And then meeting women who separated from service years ago, or they don't feel like they fit, that anyone understands what, who, what, how they communicate, who they are, why they have the driver or ambition that they have, or just how they view the world. It doesn't matter. I always say, I don't care how long you serve. But at the end of the day, when you're outside of that bubble, how do you talk to women about finding community? What are some of the things that you would recommend for them to do when especially if you're thinking about, I want to find my Latina veteran sisters.
Yeah.
I want to find,
Yeah.
I want to find, you see Facebook pages, Instagram pages, the Black Marine, women Marines, or so you have all these different sex or demographics, right? And so what are some of your advice around building community?
So one thing is, you definitely have to get out there and be vulnerable and put yourself out there, whether it is working in veteran community-based organizations like the Mission Continues, getting involved with your foundation, telling your story on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever that is.
Your real story,
not your bullshit story. Yeah. Yeah. And, I think it's being authentic. It's funny because sometimes you really don't realize the impact you're making on other people. And I just had someone on LinkedIn connect with me, and we had a long conversation yesterday, and I didn't realize she was Latina. And she says, I want to help the Latin community because we had similar stories, and the fact that, or similar whys, that we want to be able to mentor and coach and impact the next generation. By doing this, we have to start early. We have to start like in the 7th and 8th grade, because kids are in that age group and they don't know what they have to do to get to college or to get to trade school. They don't have a future plan. And you can't have that if you have parents that don't know or have that information. So one of the things I got involved in was the Latina 100. I co-authored this book that's coming out in December.
Yes.
And every single time I meet another Latina, I'm like, you need to get involved in this project. And we all have a story to tell. And this isn't, this is an 800 to 1,000 word essay about something that you want to leave back for a legacy. But Adriana is doing all of this for free because she realizes as an author that there are not enough Latina stories in media. And how do we present in media? So, every single time I meet another Latina girl, a woman, I'm like, you need to be in this project and you need to tell your story, and I keep pushing people. And Adriana's like, you've been like my biggest recruiter. And I'm like, because this is the thing. When I was growing up, I come from a single parent household. My mom she worked as a nursing assistant in a hospital, and she had people that really supported and mentor her.
Yes.
When she was coming through. But when I was growing up, I never saw any other women that looked like me or my mother that were in high places of leadership or power.
Representation matters.
Absolutely, it matters. And it matters in everything. It matters in community. It matters in media. It matters in everything. And, even in the military, and one of the Very and I just had this conversation last night. She's like, every single time I go somewhere, I'm always the only Latina. And I'm like, listen, girlfriend, that is me. I am always the only Latina, and have been even throughout my military career. So it's important to not only tell your story and be authentic, but be able to pull back and bring back the others that need that pulling up. You need to be able to share your power and knowledge and leadership to help others in the community come with you, so you can reach back. And I think that's why I have a problem when women don't support women. And I forget who says it, but there is a special place in hell for women that don't support women. And let me tell you, I really believe that. And I think that's why I have a problem when I have a supervisor say, this isn't working out. And I'm sitting there thinking, we're both veteran sisters. You hired me for my leadership and my experience, and now you're saying it's not working out. And it's because you're intimidated by me. I don't get that. I don't get that. We all have gifts to contribute. Why? There is enough work to be done by all of us. No one should feel like they're in competition with anybody, because there is enough work in our communities and in our organizations for everyone.
For everyone.
For everyone. And that whole, you intimidate me, you're in competition. I just don't get that. I just have never understood that. But that's not who I am as a person. I'm a cheerleader. I'm the cheerleader for everyone in my community. I'm a cheerleader for, everyone in my circle, my sisters, my family. If you want to go get that PhD and go to med school, I'm like, what can I do to help you, to support you?
Exactly. How do I elevate you?
Yeah, and that's how I am around my world and how I work in the community. And so anyway, community is really important. And I think, and it's not just as women veterans. I think if you have demographics of, the Black community, Puerto Rican community, the Samoan community, whatever, it's hard to find other like-minded women that are willing to take that ride in that journey with you. And that's hard. And I have to say that I am very blessed that out of my Air Force career, I have some amazing, amazing women that are my cheerleaders and support me. And it's taken, Shellie, you're part of my community here in Washington. It's taken me 6 years to build a community here in Washington. And the other thing I want to say to people that are getting out of the military, do not move somewhere just because of a job. A job will come and go. Move somewhere that you have community, that you have connections to, and you have a support system. That is another huge thing that nobody talks about when you're transitioning from the military. And the first thing that when people ask me, what's the biggest advice you have as you're transitioning? I'm like, listen, don't move somewhere just because of a job, because that job may not be there 2-3 years from now. Move somewhere where you have a support system, a support network, or a community, whether it's your family, friends, or whatever. Because who do you call when your kid gets sick and you can't pick them up? Who do you call when you have a flat tire in the middle of the evening or whatever, and you don't have a community there? Because let me tell you, I experienced that. USAA and I were very good friends for the first couple of years I lived in Washington, because I don't know what it was, but the first couple of years I lived here, every couple of months I had a flat tire somewhere. It was crazy.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, we got I love the points that you hit on and the impact of building community, but also what I heard you say at the very beginning is you have to go out and do it. So you can't wait for your community to come find you. You have to go find it. Google can be your best friend, or you can meet people like us who will network you out. And, I'm glad that Melissa is watching, because I want her to make sure that she connects with you. And there's some comments here. Charmon, hey Charmon, Dr. Charmon Sweeney Monaghan. Some women like being the only one in the all boys club. And a lot of women were just saying how they're used to being the only one. And to your point, when you go back and you think about building community, you want to build, and you say you want to build, I might be the only Latina, I might be the only Black woman. We're all so used to being the only one, especially as you elevate. And we don't take that lightly, that, I've elevated, I'm here, but I don't want to forget. And I love your points about reaching back, right? So how do we take those action steps and we do those things effectively? That can start with, being a mentor, in your local school district, connecting with your recruiting stations and saying, hey, I just want to talk to the young ladies who are going to serve. I served, I want to, or
that's a good idea. I'm going to do that.
And because that's something that's been resonating. I know Carrie Jeter just started it, and I just said, you know what, I want to do that too, because I've been talking about that in another group that I'm in. I want to talk to young women about who are considering serving. And I want to talk to them about that journey, about my journey, and the opportunities that await them. It's less about leading with fear, and it's more about leading fearlessly and really being a voice and advocating, right, on all of the things that nothing is easy. And if anyone ever tries to sell you on something being easy, just think twice about it. But
choose your hard.
You've got to do the work. And, we have to just encourage one another to see ourselves bolder, beautiful, badass, right? That's exactly how we have to see ourselves.
Absolutely.
So let's transition a little bit to talk about you're here at this point. You and I had a phone call.
Mhm.
I guess now you can join the group of testimonies of people who call Shellie. So this is what happens in a conversation. When you talk to Shellie Willis, she's gonna talk to you like this and ask you this. So I mean, it was at the symposium you went to where there were like 2 or 3 testimonies about how I handled phone calls. And so, but we had a great call, and you were really walking yourself through the journey of, do I do this? And so then you take the leap and you go to the training, and you've been doing some great things. You've been a part of the Mission Continues Leadership Forum thing. You've really, like, I love the way you've kind of taken this broad approach to just growing yourself.
Yeah.
So now we're here at the Entrepreneur Source. Let's talk about that journey in what you can do.
Okay, so let me go back a little bit. When I was at my last job before I got terminated, I was starting to get restless. I think for me, even though I love doing patient care as a nurse practitioner, the management part of it, again, I could do it. I'm good at it, but it just didn't fill my heart. And the other thing for me is too, working Monday to Friday was really becoming a big drag for me. Like I am not a Monday to Friday, even though that's what I'm doing now, but that's a different story. But I just wanted some flexibility.
It was the 9 to 5 portion of the Monday through Friday. You needed the flexibility. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I think, so I reached out to a coach, a veterinary, which I am also a mentor for ACP. I just got my, so again, it's me reaching back and helping and bringing other women along. So anyways, I was talking to my coach and she's like, what do you want to do? And I said, have you thought about business ownership? And I said, yeah. And I keep working with coaches, but nothing is clicking. Nothing is exciting me. People want, me to, create these courses and do all the social media. And I'm like, I could, but teach courses about what? It just wasn't clicking with me. So anyways, I keep talking to Susan and she's like, have you thought about franchising? And I said, yeah, but what does it mean? And, so kind of got into that journey. Anyway, she introduced me to a couple of different franchise models. And one of them I was really interested in and I almost went with, and it had to do with elder care. And it was something that I would have been really very successful at because of my background. But there was something about that was gnawing at me. And one of the things is that after 30 years in healthcare, I will be the first one to admit that it's not the part of taking care of people. I love taking care of people and helping them, but I was burned out on the healthcare operations and the politics and the policies. That's what I was burned out about. And I realized I almost invested in that franchise, but then I realized, oh my God, I was like, I just don't want to be getting a crisis call in the middle of the weekend. I want my weekends to myself. So anyways, the thing I kept going back to was this coaching, because I had so many people in my life. They're like, Elis, you coach and mentor so many people. You've helped so many of us. Why don't you capitalize on that? And I was like, yeah, but there's so many coaches around the world and it was just like, how do I do that? But what I liked about this franchise was that I was not just coaching, but I was also producing a viable product option for people that they can really move forward to. There was an end. Like, as I'm talking to people, there's so many people, 70% of Americans are interested in entrepreneurship, but they have no idea where to start. Well, the beauty of franchising is that you're working for yourself, but not by yourself. So you find a model or a service product that really aligns with whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And most people, the top accomplishments, the top things that people have is they want flexibility. They want to be able to have a quick ramp up. They want to have a quick return on investment. And fourth, they want to be able to take vacations and work on their wealth and equity goals. So, once I get all that information and I gather all that intel on that client, and we do a vision statement and, they tell me what all their goals are, then I take all that information and go in our catalog and find a few choices for them I present those choices to them, and then I connect them with the developer so they can learn more about the brands. And really, from the standpoint is, this is a journey of education and awareness. You're not making any decisions. You're not, this is not a sales pitch. You're just learning about the different opportunities that are out there. And what's happened a couple of times is that I've worked with a couple of veterans in particular. They're like, you know what? This was a great journey, but I realized that I really want to do my own thing. I want to be an entrepreneur, but I want to do my own startup. And that's great, because at least now you have a point of clarity and you know what it's going to take to do funding. You know, what are some of the things out there that you can do. But then since I've started, I've placed 2 people, and one of them was a Navy veteran that she invested in a home kind of handyman kind of business out of Virginia Beach. And I just had these other guys that had a welding company and wanted to add to their service line. So they invested in a concrete craft business. So, building my pipeline, talking to all these people, and I'm trying to talk to more women, because I think more women in business would be such a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Women have such a hard time letting go their preconceived notions about paychecks every week, and they want to do it. They're excited, but some of them are just kind of like,
so Elise, what if that's not their real thing? Maybe their thing isn't about maybe a paycheck every week, but maybe their situation might be around just how hard it is to break into, to build a network. How much time will this take to actually, gain momentum and build up? So,
that's everybody's questions. That's everybody's
right,
fear.
right. Okay.
But here's the thing. Do you stay in a job that's miserable and toxic, or do you stay in, or do you take a risk on yourself and invest in yourself? Because here's the thing. Have you ever really failed at anything? Professionally, have any of you ever really failed? And most
I don't know. That's a good question to ask the audience.
Yeah.
We're a little bit in our Zoom, we're a little bit ahead of them by a few minutes, but can I just, before we go on, I gotta give you some feedback in our chat here. Felicia Hacker said that I'm not looking for allies, I'm looking for accomplices like Elis and Shellie. We can get in some good trouble, diva style. Yes, Felicia, yes. And so, and just Melissa, when we were talking about building community, she said she shared to a Houston veteran group, and a lady named Tina knows you in Houston. I don't know. She might be either one of your Mission Continue sisters.
Yeah, I think she might be Mission. If it's Tina in Houston, I think it's Mission Continue. Yeah.
Yes. And so, security. Yes. Charmant just commented security. So security is, like you said, at the top of the list of wanting that consistent, reliable paycheck. But then to your point, how long do you want to be miserable? And everybody doesn't get to, everyone always tell people paycheck or purpose. Paycheck or purpose.
Yes.
It's very rare that you get paid for a purpose that you believe in, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very, very rare. And you may be able to tap into multiple talents, but you also have to plan it out. And I also want to say this, this isn't a dig if you work full time and you're working on your evening. That's a journey, right? You're working. So I always tell everybody, I have an album and I have a mixtape, right?
Yeah.
And so, and
I'm just speaking of, and I'm just speaking generally of some of the issues that I have with, when I'm talking to clients, and then just a general aspect is that some people have such great fear of failing that keeps them from moving, from even learning. And my whole thing is like, this is a journey of education and awareness, and it's free. Why wouldn't you just keep an open mind and just learn what's out there?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to make any decisions. I'm just telling you, your commitment to me as a coach for the free services is to just keep an open mind and just learn.
So how does someone reach you? How does someone get connected with the amazing Elis?
Well, they can reach me through Facebook and send me a message, and then I can connect with them now.
I know we have your information, and I think that Eve is going to be able to share it
Yeah, and they can go on my web page. It's, it has my contact information as well. But if someone's interested in just kind of seeing what else is out there,
Yeah.
I would love to talk to them. And here's the thing too, for women veteran in particular, and veterans in general, there are so many funding options for investment in a business. And I think that's what people don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot of different options out there. And here's the thing, you can stay where you're at, and that's okay, because I tell clients, listen, franchising is not the dream. It is a vehicle of success. So there are vehicles of success. You can stay in your Monday to Friday, work at a corporation and get a paycheck every 2 weeks. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. That is the perfect choice for a lot of people. Business ownership is not for everyone. However, there are other options, other vehicles of success, which is you can invest in a business that's already well established, but you're going to have to take some critical reviews of that business if you're doing a merger and acquisition of a business, because you don't know what the finances are, or the reputation, or the employees, or that kind of that. You can do a startup, and a startup is great. The problem is that most people that do a startup don't have the right funding or the right knowledge to really keep, or the right support to really keep that momentum going for a business. And because you've been a business owner, you know how hard that is. And then the other option is franchising. And the reason why franchising is the most successful business model in the United States and across the world is because all you're doing basically is investing, diversifying your portfolio, and following a system. And this is why veterans in general are the most successful franchise owners around the world, because we know how to follow a system, and we know how to hustle, and we're also very resilient. So those are some of the components that you need as a business owner for any business. But there's different vehicles of success, and you just have to decide what works for you and what is. There's nothing ventured, nothing gained. And if you want to make big bucks, and you want to have financial freedom, I hate to tell you this, guys, but there's no security in corporate America. That is a false illusion that we have all been sold on, but that is not the reality in today's job economy.
And it's very, very clear when you think about the high numbers of unemployment, and what I have seen happen over the last, month 8? What I've seen happen over the last 8 months is I've seen more people actually starting to exercise their dream. Because they were laid off. And so they're using this time during their layoff to really build something they've just been sitting on, maybe something you've been doing as a hobby on the side, or maybe you have a little business, a little side hustle on the side, and you hadn't been able to really get it to launch. But this time of honestly transition and transformation in your life, you get to actually work that dream, work that vision, make it come to fruition. And so you have tools and resources like Elis to actually tap into. And, Laura said that she has goals and plans to have a franchise or start a biz. So you just got a client. Yes, just got a client. And it's really around, and Charmant said her parents worked at the same company their entire adult lives, and that's not the reality anymore.
No, it's not. In fact, that's so interesting, because I have that conversation every day with clients, because we all remember our parents working at the same place, same company for 20 to 30 years, retiring, having that pension. That just does not happen.
It's not a promise. And even people in the military, it's really an interesting dynamic. We worked for the same company. We got promoted within. We work for the same, because people don't look at the military as an industry sector. The military is its own industry sector. And so when you think about it as its own industry sector, then you think about, I worked for the same company for X amount of years. There was promotion within, there's benefits, there's all these things. You have to change your mindset and how you actually look at things, right? And how you apply them. This is just amazing. And so that means that your mindset is thinking, I just want to find somebody, get to work with them and work with them forever, until it doesn't happen that way. They let you go. Or what I've seen happen is They want to go into corporate America. They want to jump into the shark infested waters. And then a year later, hey, Shellie, are you involved with any veteran service organizations? I really want to get into the nonprofit sector. I want to be of service. So you got to think about all of these things, right? All of these things. We have some more comments about, Laura said that Robert Kiyosaki's book on veterans owning franchises is an excellent read.
Oh, I'll have to read that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely have to read that. Thank you so much. And we want to make sure that, the goal is this: we want you to be your best self. And women, you have a lot to offer. You don't have to diminish your shine, and you most definitely do not have to, you don't have to minimize yourself. You can live your life fully and fearlessly. And that is something that you just need to know that you can do. And we also, going back to the accountability, but we have to do the work. No one's giving you anything at all in this life. And even if they do, it is your job, your responsibility to treat it respectfully and nourish it and do all the things you need to do. So, Elis, before we finish, what are some takeaways or some thoughts that you want to leave our audience with before we end our talk tonight? I mean, this is really good. I don't know if I want to end, but I know you've been working all day like me. But so what are some key takeaways you want everyone to think about? And we'll share your information with everyone. So if they want to reach out to you.
Thank you. I think the biggest takeaway is bring other people with you once you've gotten to a point of success, or even while you're stumbling your way through whatever it is that you're trying to do. Just bring people with you, build community, not just with the veteran community, but even the civilian sector and in your community in general. And there's so many organizations out there to get involved in and to do servant leadership. That's really important. Yes. There's so many resources out there, and definitely don't dull your sparkle for somebody else. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I have a tendency, I guess, to have I don't feel like I have a huge personality, but I'm pretty sassy. And I find myself sometimes dimming my sunshine for other people to make other people comfortable. And I hate when I do it, but it's that sometimes being the oldest child and also, working in the civilian sector for 6 years, kind of like I have some PTSD from the civilian sector.
Yeah, it has been challenging. Felicia said her fave quote: "Stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces you have outgrown." Like you said earlier,
Amen.
If you're the smartest person in the room, then you need to leave that room.
Amen. And you know what? And here's another thing, Shellie, too. Surround yourself with people that believe in your dreams, that are willing to lift you up and that challenge you to level up to the next level. I mean, that's one of the things I love about you. I hang out with you because I'm just like, I just feel like I'm growing every single time I hang out with you. So just hang out with people that are growing and that believe in your dreams. Or just support you, because, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's not necessarily the people that are closest to you. And that's unfortunate, but it's just the way life is.
Yeah. And Melissa said, yes, I want others to grow with me. If not, they'll bring you down. Woo, laugh out loud. And it's really, we want to get out. We don't want to have, I think as minorities, we have to not have the crab in the bucket mentality.
Oh, girl, that is part of our coaching.
We do not have time for the crab in the bucket mentality.
We don't.
Not only are we minorities, we are women. There's a double-edged sword. We're already dealing with a whole lot of other things we could get into, microaggressions, all the other things.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You've got to think about it like this. I need you to take my place. And what I think the military did very well is taught us how to grow people.
Absolutely.
Taught us how to grow people, and I need the next person up. Why? Because I'm going up. Now, my version of up in this life might be starting my own business. My version up in this life might be to go up the corporate ladder and be on the, in the C-suite.
Yeah.
My version in this life could be in management, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's a different direction, but it's the same concept: grow people.
Yeah,
Be transparent
absolutely.
about all of that, like you said, and you really find your way along the way. I'm
Yeah.
one of those people. One of the things I love to say is, if you are sitting at the table, then you need to eat. I love to eat. So
Hmm.
that means I'm going to speak. So when I sit at any table, I am speaking. So you need people who are going to champion for you. You need, when you're not in
Absolutely.
that room, you need people who are going to advocate for you when
Yep.
you're not in that room. We do not have time for anything less than that.
We
Speak.
don't. We don't.
Yeah,
And, you know, the
speak.
other, yeah, and as you to piggyback on that is there's enough work for all of us out there.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
someone's intimidated by you or someone doesn't support you in what you're trying to do, then that's not your, those aren't your people. Those aren't your
Mm-mm.
people, you know?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And I think that's the thing about the military that we learn so much, how important it is to mentor and grow the younger, you know, the people that are behind us. And I think that's something that's really embedded in all of us as
Mm-hmm.
veterans. And the civilian sector doesn't really get that. They don't get
One
that.
more comment. Oh my, if we keep taking these comments, we're gonna be over here. Yeah, Felicia also said, Laura said, live fearless daily. Felicia said, we have to support one another as women. Be willing to pay full price for services and goods. Invest in others and they will invest in you. Stop thinking that you're gonna get the cookie for free. That is what that means. You
Yes.
do not, and I repeat, get the cookie for free. That means no services, no goods for free. Stop thinking that you are entitled to receive everything for free. Now,
Yeah.
there are some things that you will get, that's great. But also, on the other hand, do not be afraid to take that piece of paper or send that invoice, women, when you are doing your work.
Mm-hmm.
Know your worth, know your worth,
Yeah.
because you have to eat too. So
Yeah.
you got to
Absolutely.
send the invoice, you got to slide the paper for services. You got to put a fee on things, because once people know that they have to pay for your intellectual knowledge, your time,
Oh,
take
oh,
into account everything. I gotta
yeah.
drive. First of all, I gotta get up, put my makeup on. I gotta
Yeah.
get dressed. I gotta drive. That's gas. That's about at least $20 right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And then I gotta come sit with you. Possibly I'm the one buying us coffee or tea, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving you my time. Now in this virtual world, it's more about getting online and doing the thing, but you still have to put the same energy minus the gas. You better start putting a dollar sign on your time. Let's just go on and quote that.
Absolutely. And
Put a dollar
and
sign on your
and
time.
yep. And then also protect your intellectual property. I can't stress that enough, how important that is. And I'm just gonna make one more comment. So I had somebody reach out to me about doing a public speaking gig because somebody recommended me, and I don't even know this person. So this is when I say that you don't know what impact you're having on people around you and your community.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I was
mm-hmm.
talking to this person and they're like, what's your speaker's fee? And you know what? I thought this was going to be another like volunteer speaker thing. And I told her my fee and I was just like, well, this is, and she's like, that's a little high. And I was like, well, that's my fee. Because like you said, I am taking time out of my day
Mm-hmm.
to not only are you
Mm-hmm.
utilizing my expertise, my intellectual property, but someone recommended me, so I must be pretty good. And and they're like, yeah, we can make that work. And I'm like, ooh, I should have asked for a higher price.
But what that tells you is you need to do that every time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What is your need?
I have not gotten, I am not shy about asking to get
Asking for it,
paid.
but everybody wants to get to the point where they're acting like Shellie, acting like Elis, in reference to your value.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it wasn't nerve-wracking or scary, but I'm going to send you this invoice. I'm going to send you, okay, and here's my price. What is it that you want? I'm even telling people, create a Google form where you can get basic information, and have a 15, 20-minute meeting. That'll help you with getting what you need from them, and that'll help you assess the cost, the price. Put it on paper, put that number down there, and don't compromise on that. You get to make decisions on where you want to negotiate, ladies, but if you're going to step out and be an entrepreneur, or if you have a side hustle, you need to put some worth on that time, because
Absolutely.
it's one thing to build a business and reputation and network. It's another thing to think that every time somebody thinks that they're going to tap you, it's not going to cost them something.
Yeah.
And if you want to do in kind, great, however you want to do it. But remember, no cookie for free. As you're going on this entrepreneur journey, as you're connecting with resources like my sister Elis here, there are a lot of you on this call, on this video with us, watching us live on Facebook. You know that we value you, we love you, and we are investing in you. This is how we are investing in you, our women veterans, our community. We want you to know and understand that there are resources for you, there is support for you. We are here for you, but we're gonna hold you accountable.
Yeah, and you're
You
not
got to take
alone.
action, and you got to do it, but you don't have to do it alone.
No.
And so we want you to operate fearlessly and boldly in the world that you are in, and we want you to embrace it all. So I can't say enough about you joining us for our speaker symposium, and I'd love you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for giving of your time. And you all, we will share Elis's information. And she said also already that you can just directly message her. We also, I think we have you on our website as a resource. If not, we've got to get you on there as a
I'm
resource.
not sure if I am, but yeah.
Yeah. So my thing with the foundation, with our foundation, we are a catalyst for connection. So that means that we are a connector. There's already enough out there. We don't have to offer all the other things, but we know the good, we hunt the good stuff. So we want to connect you with it. So if you visit our website, you'll see a list of resources of services being offered by fellow veteran organizations in our community, or veterans who have businesses and understand. Let me emphasize, that means there is going to be a fee associated with it when you tap them for their services, but we hunt the good stuff, and we know that that's where they are. So at least we've got to get you on our website as a resource, and so that other women veterans can connect with you and get their journey towards entrepreneurship and franchising started. So ladies and gentlemen, at least you hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our second week of our speaker series. We have week 3 coming next week with our Director of Training and Development, Jimmy Wimberly. We're going to hear the man speak. So we're going to hear they're going to be talking about wellness. They're going to be talking about their journey, and it's always good to get another perspective. So thank you for joining us. We want to make sure that you stay safe, that you stay healthy, and ultimately that you are kind, not just to everyone else, but to yourself. Love yourself first so that you can bring your best self out for everything else around you. Make sure you take care of your spiritual, your mental, and your emotional health. So this is Shellie Willis. I am the CEO and founder of Redefining You Foundation. Keep redefining, and have a great week.